Waitress sued for defamation by magnate. Dashiell Blackwood accuses employee of sabotage after viral incident. Clover Bennett stared at the headline on her phone, while her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the device on the worn floor of her one-bedroom apartment. 3 million views. 3 million. The video of her laughing in Dashiell Blackwood's face had become the internet's favorite entertainment over the last 48 hours. Her stomach churned. How had everything gone so wrong? 2 days earlier, Clover looked at the crumpled note in her palm. Manager position, the Meridian. Interview tomorrow, 2 p.m. Are you going? Asked her co-worker Marcus, drying a glass at the counter of Lucky's Diner, where they'd worked for 3 years. I don't know. She bit her lip. It's a lot of responsibility. What if I screw everything up? Clove, you're the most competent person I know. Go there and kill it. She didn't know that interview was just an excuse, that the Meridian was the 5-star restaurant owned by Dashiell Blackwood, and that her future boss, the ice-cold Vivian Ashford, the billionaire's fiancée, had very specific plans for her. Present, the incident. It all started when Clover tripped over a briefcase deliberately left in her path. The $15 iced coffee flew in slow motion, landing spectacularly on Dashiell Blackwood's white Italian shirt. The entire restaurant froze. Dashiell stood up like a predator, his storm-colored eyes shooting daggers at her. Tall, absurdly handsome, and clearly accustomed to intimidating people. Do you have any idea how much this shirt costs? His voice was low, dangerous. And then something about him, maybe the arrogance, maybe the way everyone around seemed terrified, made Clover completely lose her composure. She laughed, not a nervous giggle. A genuine belly laugh, the kind that makes your whole body shake. Seriously? She managed to speak between laughs. You're having a meltdown over coffee? Dude, it's just a shirt. Nobody died. The silence was deafening. You... Dashiell looked genuinely shocked, as if he'd never been contradicted in his life. You're laughing? Sorry. Clover tried to compose herself, but looked at his indignant expression and lost it again. It's just... You look like a super dramatic jackass having a tantrum over coffee. She pointed at him, like a premium-grade jackass. For a moment, something strange crossed Dashiell Blackwood's face. It wasn't anger. It was surprise, fascination. But before she could decipher it, an icy voice cut through the air. Miss Bennett, my office, now. Vivian Ashford stood in the doorway, her perfectly manicured red nails drumming against the doorframe. Her smile was pure poison. Clover swallowed hard. The amusement evaporated instantly when she saw the calculating look from the woman who was supposed to be her boss. But what she didn't see was Dashiell staring at her as she walked away. A confused expression on his face, like a man who'd just been struck by something he couldn't name. Now, 2 days later, with her face plastered all over Twitter and $1 million lawsuit hanging over her head, Clover realized the terrifying truth. She had just declared war on the most powerful man in Manhattan, and his perfect fiancée was only beginning her revenge. The manila envelope arrived at 6 a.m., delivered by a man in a suit far too expensive for a process server. Clover sat on her couch in pajamas, staring at the legal documents like they might bite. Dashiell Blackwood versus Clover Bennett, defamation, property damage, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Damages sought, $2.5 million. Emotional distress, she muttered. I gave that jackass emotional distress? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Bennett, Vivian Ashford, we need to talk. Delancey Coffee Shop, 9 a.m. Come alone. This could make your lawsuit disappear. Every instinct screamed trap. But $2.5 million she didn't have was a pretty compelling reason to walk into one. Delancey Coffee was the kind of place where a latte cost $12 and came with a side of judgment. Vivian sat in the corner booth like a queen holding court, her diamond engagement ring catching the light with every deliberate movement. Sit, she commanded, not asked. Clover sat. You've caused quite the mess, haven't you? Vivian's smile didn't reach her eyes. Dashiell is distracted. He keeps watching that ridiculous video, pausing it, replaying your little performance. I didn't mean, oh, I know exactly what you meant. Vivian leaned forward. You saw an opportunity to become famous by humiliating a powerful man. Very clever. That's not... I don't care. Vivian slid a folder across the table. Here's what matters. Dashiell and I are getting married in 6 weeks. It's a merger as much as a marriage. His tech empire, my family's investment firm. But lately he's been difficult, questioning things. And now you've made it worse. Clover opened the folder. Inside were photos, her apartment, her parents' house in Ohio, Marcus at the diner. Her blood ran cold. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a way out. Vivian's voice was silk over steel. You'll publicly apologize. Say you were having a mental health crisis. Dashiell will drop the lawsuit. You'll disappear from New York, and everyone wins. And if I don't, then I'll destroy you. Not just the lawsuit. I'll make sure you never work again. I'll make sure your name is poison. I have resources you can't imagine, Miss Bennett. Clover's hands clenched under the table. Every rational cell in her body screamed to take the deal. But something about the desperation hidden beneath Vivian's perfect veneer made her pause. Why does this matter so much to you? It was just coffee. For just a second, Vivian's mask slipped. Because he looked at you like you were real. Like you weren't just another piece on the board. And I've spent 3 years making myself indispensable to Dashiell Blackwood. I won't let some nobody waitress with a loud laugh ruin that. Before Clover could respond, the coffee shop door chimed, and Dashiell Blackwood walked in. He wasn't supposed to be here. That was clear from the way Vivian's face went blank with fury for a microsecond before reconstructing into adoring fiancé mode. Darling, what a surprise. Dashiell's eyes found Clover immediately. He looked different in casual clothes, dark jeans, a black Henley that did illegal things to his shoulders. Less billionaire, more human. Vivian. His voice was carefully neutral. I got a notification that you used our shared car service to come here. Wanted to make sure everything was okay. Translation. He was tracking his fiancée. Just handling some business. With the woman I'm suing? He moved closer, and Clover noticed he smelled like cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. Interesting business. The tension could be cut with a knife. Miss Bennett was just agreeing to our settlement terms, Vivian said smoothly. Was she? Dashiell's gaze locked on Clover. Is that true? This was her moment. Take the deal, apologize, disappear, save herself. But Clover had spent her whole life playing it safe, being careful, never making waves. And where had it gotten her? A dead-end job in a studio apartment with mice. She stood up, meeting those storm-gray eyes directly. No, I wasn't agreeing to anything. She turned to Vivian. You want me to say I'm crazy? That I made it all up? I won't. Because you know what? He was being a jackass. And I'm not sorry for laughing. Then she looked at Dashiell. Sue me. Take everything. But I'm not going to lie and say I was wrong just to make your life convenient. She grabbed her bag and walked toward the door, heart hammering. Miss Bennett. Dashiell's voice stopped her. Why did you laugh? Really? Clover turned. Because you reminded me of my nephew when someone takes his favorite toy. All that power, all that money, and you couldn't handle one moment of not being in control. It was humanizing and kind of hilarious. Something flickered in his expression. Was it amusement? You called me a jackass. Premium grade, she corrected. I stand by my assessment. And then, impossibly, Dashiell Blackwood smiled. Not a corporate smile, a real one. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish. Probably both. Vivian stood abruptly. Dashiell, we need to go. Actually, he said, still looking at Clover. I want to talk to Miss Bennett. Alone. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Excuse me? You heard me, Vivian. This is between us. For a moment, Clover thought Vivian might actually explode, but instead, she collected her bag with trembling hands. Fine. But remember, darling, the Carlyle merger closes next week. We can't afford distractions. She left in a cloud of expensive perfume and suppressed rage. Dashiell gestured to the booth. Please, sit. I'll buy you a coffee. It's the least I can do since you're apparently broke because of me. Despite herself, Clover laughed. Is this the part where you try to intimidate me in person? No, he said quietly. This is the part where I figure out why I can't stop thinking about the woman who called me a jackass and might be the only honest person I've met in years. Clover sat down. This was either the beginning of something wonderful or the biggest mistake of her life. Dashiell Blackwood ordered 2 coffees, black for himself, and after a hesitation that felt oddly vulnerable, asked Clover what she wanted. Surprise me, she said, testing him. He ordered a caramel macchiato with oat milk and an extra shot. Exactly what she would have chosen. Lucky guess, she asked when he returned. You had one at the Meridian, before you baptized me with it. That almost smile again. I have an excellent memory. Creepy or impressive? Haven't decided which. Most people would say impressive and mean creepy. I'm not most people. I'm beginning to realize that. He studied her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You know I could bury you financially. One phone call to my legal team. And yet here you are buying me coffee. Clover wrapped her hands around the warm cup. Why? Dashiell was quiet for a long moment. Outside, Manhattan rushed by. People with places to be, lives that made sense. Inside this booth, everything felt suspended. Because, he finally said, in 34 years, no one has ever called me out like that. No one has looked at me and seen just a man having a ridiculous reaction. They see the empire, the stock portfolio, the connections. You saw someone being an ass and laughed. You were being an ass. I was. He ran a hand through his dark hair. I'd just gotten off a call where a partner tried to screw me over on a $50 million deal. I was angry, distracted. And then you. He shook his head. You made me feel stupid for caring about a shirt. To be fair, it was a really expensive shirt. $1,500. Clover choked on her coffee. For a shirt? That's my rent. And there it was, that laugh, real, unguarded. It transformed his entire face. See? Clover grinned. That's the guy who should show up more often, not the robot billionaire. The robot billionaire pays the bills. Does he make you happy? The question landed like a bomb. Dashiell's expression shuttered immediately. Happiness is a luxury I can't afford right now. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. That's reality, Miss Bennett. Clover, if we're having existential conversations, you can use my name. Clover. He tested it, like tasting wine. It suits you. Unexpected. A little wild. Her heart did something stupid and fluttery. This was dangerous territory. What about Vivian? She asked, forcing reality back into the bubble. Your fiancé who just threatened to destroy my entire existence? Dashiell's jaw tightened. Vivian is complicated. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He leaned forward. Tell me something. That video. You really had no idea it would go viral. Are you kidding? I was mortified. I thought I'd just get fired, not become a meme. You're premium-grade jackass girl. I've seen the merchandise. There's merchandise? T-shirts, mugs, TikTok sounds. You're famous. Clover dropped her head into her hands. My mother is going to kill me. Your mother sounds terrifying. She's a 4th-grade teacher in Ohio. Trust me, she is. They talked for an hour. Then 2. Dashiell told her about building his first company at 23 The crushing pressure of expectations, how every relationship felt transactional. Clover told him about dropping out of college to care for her sick father, her dreams of opening her own restaurant someday, how she collected vintage cookbooks from thrift stores. It felt easy, real, like they'd known each other for years instead of days. And that's exactly when everything fell apart. Clover's phone exploded with notifications, then Dashiell's, then every phone in the coffee shop seemed to buzz simultaneously. "Oh God," Clover whispered, staring at her screen. "Oh God, oh God." A new video had gone viral. Security footage from the Meridian, but edited, manipulated. It showed Clover deliberately stepping in front of Dashiell, throwing the coffee, laughing maniacally. The timestamp was wrong. The angle was suspicious. But it had 10 million views in an hour. The caption, "Gold Digger Exposed. Waitress staged viral incident to trap billionaire. Sources say she's demanding hush money." "This is fake," Clover said, voice shaking. This isn't what happened." Dashiell was already on his phone, his expression thunderous. "I know. I was there." He looked up. "This is professional. Someone with access to my security systems doctored this." They both realized it at the same time. "Vivian," Clover breathed. Dashiell's phone rang. He answered, listened for 10 seconds, and his face went white. "I understand. I'll handle it." He hung up. "My board is calling an emergency meeting. The Carlyle merger is in jeopardy because they think I'm involved in a scandal with—" He stopped. "With a gold-digging waitress," Clover finished bitterly. "She's good. I'll give her that. This is my fault. I should have what? Not talked to me? Let her win?" Clover stood up, ignoring the stares from other customers who were clearly recognizing her. "I need to go. This is your life, your merger. I'm just—" "Don't." Dashiell grabbed her wrist, gentle but firm. "Don't run." "Why? Give me one good reason to stay in this nightmare." He looked at her, really looked at her with something raw and honest in those storm-gray eyes. "Because for 2 hours I forgot to be Dashiell Blackwood, corporate machine. I was just Dash, a guy having coffee with a woman who makes him laugh. And I don't want to lose that." Clover's breath caught. "Your merger. I don't care about the merger. Your fiancé. I care about you." The words hung in the air between them, dangerous and electric. And that's when the coffee shop door burst open and Vivian stormed in, trailed by cameras, reporters, and what looked like half of Manhattan's media elite. "There she is!" Vivian pointed at Clover, her voice dripping with manufactured hurt. "The woman who's been blackmailing my fiancé. Dashiell, darling, you don't have to protect her anymore. I've called the police." Clover felt the world tilt. Dashiell stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. "Everyone out! Now!" His voice carried enough authority to make even the reporters hesitate. But the damage was done. Cameras had caught everything, including Dashiell holding Clover's wrist, the intimate way they'd been sitting, the obvious connection between them. By tonight, she wouldn't just be premium-grade jackass girl. She'd be the woman who destroyed Dashiell Blackwood's empire. And Vivian's smile suggested that was exactly the plan. The police didn't arrest Clover. They couldn't, because Dashiell's head of security arrived with the original unedited footage and a lawyer who looked like she ate prosecutors for breakfast. But the circus outside Delancey Coffee had already done its job. By noon, Clover's face was on every news site with headlines like "Billionaire's Secret Mistress" and "Gold Digger's Elaborate Scheme Exposed." Dashiell had whisked her away to his penthouse, the safest place in Manhattan, he'd said, while his legal team went to war. Now Clover stood in a living room that probably cost more than her entire childhood home, watching the city sprawl below like a kingdom she'd accidentally set on fire. "You should eat something," Dashiell said, appearing with a sandwich that looked catered by angels. "I can't. My stomach is—" She turned to face him. "Why are you doing this?" "Which part?" "All of it."
"Protecting me." bringing me here, risking your merger, your reputation. She gestured at the expensive nothing around them. I'm nobody. I serve coffee and burgers. You're you. You think that matters to me? It should. Vivienne was right about one thing. I've ruined everything for you. Dashiell set down the sandwich and crossed to her, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his gray eyes. You want to know what you've ruined? 3 years of sleepwalking through my life.
A merger that would have made me richer and more miserable. A marriage to a woman who sees me as a trophy. She loves you. She loves what I represent. There's a difference. His voice dropped. In 2 hours at a coffee shop, you made me feel more alive than I have in years. That's not ruin, Clover. That's salvation. Her heart hammered against her ribs. You don't even know me. Then let me. The air between them crackled with electricity. Clover's phone shattered the moment. Marcus. She answered on speaker. Clove, oh my God, are you okay? It's everywhere. They're saying you're a criminal, a homewrecker. I'm fine. I'm at... She glanced at Dashiell. Somewhere safe. The diner's been swarmed by reporters. They want me to give interviews about you. TMZ offered me 10 grand. Marcus, no. Obviously I told them to shove it. But Clove, this is bad. Really bad. Your parents have been calling me because they can't reach you. Guilt crashed over her. I'll call them. I just need... There's more. Marcus's voice went grim. Vivienne Ashford showed up at the diner an hour ago, alone. She left you an envelope. Dashiell tensed. Don't open it, Marcus. I'm sending security to retrieve it. Too late. I opened it. A pause. Clove, she has photos. Of you and Dashiell at the coffee shop. Close together. His hand on your wrist. And a contract. What kind of contract? Clover asked. It says if you sign it and leave New York permanently, she'll pay you $500,000 and clear your name. But you have to do it by midnight tonight. Otherwise, she releases additional evidence of your affair with Dashiell. There is no affair, Clover exploded. We know that. But these photos, they look bad. Really bad. Dashiell grabbed Clover's phone. Marcus, this is Dashiell Blackwood. I need you to... I know who you are, dude. I have eyes. Marcus's tone was protective. Look, I don't know what's happening between you two, but Clover's the best person I know. If you're using her to make your girlfriend jealous or whatever billionaires do for fun, I'm not. I swear to you, I'm not. Then fix this, because right now, her life is imploding. The call ended. Clover sank onto the designer couch, head in her hands. $500,000. I could pay off my dad's medical bills, help my parents retire, actually have a future. You're not seriously considering, why not? She looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. Be honest, Dashiell. What happens next? We have one nice conversation and suddenly you're going to, what? Date me? Marry me instead? This isn't a fairy tale. It could be. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't give me hope when we both know how this ends. You go back to your world. I go back to mine. Vivienne wins. What if I don't want that ending? What you want doesn't matter. You have shareholders, a company, responsibilities, and I have... She gestured at herself. Nothing. I'm the girl who laughed at the wrong moment and broke the internet. That's not a foundation for anything real. Dashiell knelt in front of her, taking her hands. You're wrong. You have courage, honesty, the ability to see through bullshit. That's rarer than any fortune, Clover. Pretty words won't fix this mess. Then let me try something else. He pulled out his phone and dialed. Edward, it's Dashiell. I need you to schedule a press conference. No, don't argue. And get me everything we have on Vivienne Ashford. Financial records, communications, everything. He hung up and looked at Clover with fear. I'm done playing by her rules. We're going nuclear. What does that mean? It means I'm calling off the engagement publicly. It means I'm exposing her manipulation. And it means... He hesitated. It means choosing you over everything I've built. Clover's chest tightened. I can't let you do that. It's not your choice. It's mine. He cupped her face gently. For 3 years, I've let fear and obligation dictate every decision. Not anymore. Your board will destroy you. Let them try. Vivian will release whatever evidence she has. I don't care. Dashiell, I'm in love with you. The words detonated in the space between them. Clover froze. You can't be. We barely know each other. I know that you make me laugh. That you called me out when no one else would. That you're terrified right now, but still thinking about protecting me instead of yourself. His thumb brushed her cheek. I know that I want to spend every day learning more. Isn't that enough? Tears finally spilled over. This is insane. Probably. He smiled. Is it working? Before she could answer, his phone erupted with alerts. They both looked at the screen. And there it was. Vivian's final play. A video. Posted 20 minutes ago. Vivian, tears streaming down her perfect face, giving an interview about her heartbreak over Dashiell's affair. How she'd tried to forgive him. How that awful woman had seduced her fiancé with calculated precision. The video had 15 million views. But worse, it included audio. Clover's voice crystal clear. I could pay off my dad's medical bills, help my parents retire. Actually have a future. Edited to sound like she was negotiating payment for seducing Dashiell. Clover felt the world collapse. She bugged your apartment, Dashiell whispered, horrified. She's been recording everything. Which meant she had recordings of Dashiell saying he loved Clover, of every private moment between them. Vivian wasn't just playing chess, she was playing thermonuclear war, and Clover had no idea how they'd survive the fallout. Get out, Dashiell's voice was ice. He had his phone pressed to his ear, speaking to someone who was clearly about to have a very bad day. I don't care if it's midnight in Tokyo. Wake him up. Tell him the Carlyle merger is off. Tell him why. He paused. Because I won't do business with people who side with extortionists. He ended the call and immediately made another. Clover watched him pace his penthouse like a caged predator, making calls, ending partnerships, burning bridges that took years to build, all because of her. Stop, she said quietly. Please, just stop. He ignored her, already on the next call. Catherine, I need you to file a restraining order against Vivian Ashford. Yes, I know what time it is. I don't care if you're at your daughter's recital. Dashiell, Clover grabbed his arm. Stop destroying your life for me. He finally looked at her, and the raw intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. You think that's what I'm doing? I'm not destroying anything. I'm finally building something real. He pulled up his phone, showing her a financial app. See this? My net worth. It dropped $40 million in the last hour. Know what I feel? Regret? Relief. He laughed, but it wasn't entirely stable. For the first time in a decade, money isn't the most important thing. You are. That's not romantic. That's financial suicide. Then I'll die broke and happy. You're insane. Probably. He cupped her face. But I'm also done pretending. Press conference is in 2 hours. I'm telling the world the truth, all of it. Including that you love me, especially that. Clover's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. A photo. Her parents' house in Ohio. Another of Marcus leaving the diner. A third of her old college roommate. The message below. Confess you seduced him, or everyone you love becomes collateral damage. You have 1 hour. V. The blood drained from Clover's face. What is it? Dashiell took the phone, read the text, and his expression went nuclear. She's threatening your family? She's desperate. Clover's voice shook, which makes her dangerous. I can protect them. Security, restraining orders. You can't put bodyguards on everyone I've ever met. Clover stood abruptly. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Your world doesn't just touch mine. It crushes it. Clover, no. Listen to me. She turned to face him, tears streaming. I work at a diner. My biggest accomplishment is not burning toast. I'm not built for this. The threats, the media, the psychological warfare. Vivian has unlimited resources and zero conscience. How do we fight that? Together. That's not a strategy, Dashiell. That's a greeting card. He grabbed her shoulders gently. Then what do you want to do? Take her money? Disappear? Spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been? I want... Her voice broke. I want my life back. The boring, safe, predictable life where nobody threatens my family and my face isn't on every screen in America. That life is gone. The question is, what life do you want now? Before she could answer, the penthouse intercom buzzed. Mr. Blackwood, his doorman's voice crackled. There's a Ms. Ashford here demanding to see you. She says it's urgent. Should I? Send her up, Dashiell said grimly. Are you crazy? Clover hissed. No, I'm done running. He looked at her. But you don't have to be here for this. There's a private elevator to the garage. My driver can take you anywhere you want. It was an out, a clean escape. Clover looked at the elevator, then at Dashiell, then at the city glittering below. A city that had chewed her up and spit her out in less than a week. She should run. Every logical cell in her body screamed to run. I'm staying, she heard herself say. Clover, if we're doing this, we're doing it together. Right? Something fierce and grateful flashed across his face. He kissed her forehead. Right. Vivian entered like she owned the place, which, given the 3-carat rock on her finger, she technically almost did. Dashiell, darling, we need to talk. Privately. Her gaze flickered to Clover with barely disguised contempt. Send your pet waitress away. Careful, Clover said sweetly. Your mask is slipping. My mask? Vivian laughed. You're the one pretending to be something you're not. A struggling girl with a heart of gold. Please, you saw an opportunity and took it. The only opportunity I saw was your fiancé acting like a toddler. Vivian's smile turned predatory. And yet here you are, in his penthouse, wearing your clothes from yesterday. She turned to Dashiell. The optics are delicious. Thank you for making this easy. What do you want, Vivian? What I've always wanted. The merger, the marriage, the empire we were supposed to build together. Her voice softened, became almost vulnerable. Dash, I know you're angry, but think about what we have. 3 years of building something magnificent. Are you really going to throw that away for a woman you met 4 days ago? Yes. The word hit like a bullet. Vivian's composure cracked. You don't mean that. I do. The engagement is over. The merger is canceled. Whatever you and I were building, it's done. Because of her? Vivian's voice rose. She's nothing. A nobody from Ohio who got lucky. She's everything you're not, Dashiell said quietly. She's honest. She's brave. She makes me feel human. I made you billions and left me bankrupt in every way that matters. Vivian's face contorted with rage. Then, like flipping a switch, she composed herself. Fine. Have your little romance. But know this. I've spent 3 years collecting insurance. Emails, recordings, financial discrepancies in your offshore accounts that the SEC would find fascinating. You humiliate me. I destroy you. Those accounts were your idea, Dashiell said coldly. Your family's tax evasion scheme. I have emails proving it. They stared at each other, mutual destruction assured. Mexican standoff, Clover observed. How very billionaire of you both. Vivian's laugh was bitter. You think this is funny? You've destroyed everything. My reputation, my merger, my future. All because you couldn't keep your mouth shut and your hands to yourself. No, Clover said, stepping forward. I destroyed the illusion. The perfect couple, the perfect deal, the perfect lie. And yeah, maybe I'm nobody from Ohio, but at least I'm not a sociopath weaponizing love. Love, Vivian spat. He doesn't love you. He loves the idea of you, the rebellion, the escape from responsibility. Give it a month, and he'll be bored. Maybe, Clover admitted. But I'd rather have 1 month of real than 3 years of fake. For a moment, something human flickered in Vivian's eyes. Pain. Genuine, raw pain. I did love you, she said to Dashiell. Once, before it became about winning. I know, he said quietly. I'm sorry it came to this. Not sorry enough to stop. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. One more thing. That press conference you're planning, I'd reconsider. Because at 9 p.m. tonight, I'm releasing everything. Every recording, every photo, every dirty secret, and when I'm done, neither of you will have anything left. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Silence filled the penthouse. Well, Clover said shakily, that was terrifying. She's bluffing. Is she? Dashiell didn't answer, because they both knew she wasn't. At 9 p.m., Vivian Ashford would detonate her nuclear option, and they had 4 hours to figure out how to survive the blast. 3 hours until detonation. Dashiell's legal team had taken over his dining room, laptops open, phones ringing, everyone looking like they were preparing for war, which essentially they were. Clover sat on the balcony, watching the sun set over Manhattan, trying to remember what normal felt like. Found you. She turned to find Dashiell holding 2 mugs. More coffee? Hot chocolate. Figured we'd had enough coffee for 1 lifetime. She took the mug, and their fingers brushed. Even now, even with the world ending in 3 hours, that touch sent electricity through her. Your lawyers hate me, she said. They hate losing. Different thing. He sat beside her. Catherine thinks we can get an injunction. Block Vivian from releasing anything. And if we can't, then tomorrow, the entire world knows every private moment we've had. He looked at her. I need to know you're okay with that, with us being public, dissected, judged. Clover thought about it. Really thought about it. A week ago, my biggest stress was whether to add disco fries to the diner menu. Now I'm dating a billionaire and being threatened by his psychotic ex. It's like I fell into a different dimension. Is that a yes or a no? It's a, this is insane, but I'm weirdly okay with it. She met his eyes. I keep waiting to wake up, to realize this was all some stress dream brought on by too many double shifts. If you're dreaming, I'm in the same dream. That's disgustingly romantic. I know. He grinned. I'm new at this. Am I doing it right? Before she could answer, Catherine burst onto the balcony, tablet in hand, looking like Christmas had come early. We've got her. Inside, the legal team had assembled like the Avengers, if the Avengers wore expensive suits and fed on the souls of their enemies. Catherine pulled up a video on the main screen. 3 months ago, Vivian approached Marcus at Lucky's Diner. We got the security footage from the owner. The grainy video showed Vivian, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie, sliding into a booth across from Marcus. She offered him $50,000 to help her orchestrate the coffee incident, Catherine explained. To make sure you, Clover, were in the right place at the right time. Marcus refused. Wait, Clover breathed. She planned the whole thing? Gets better. After Marcus refused, she approached 3 other Lucky's employees.
Found one who needed money for his kids' medical bills. He's the one who left the briefcase in your path. Dashiell's expression went dark. She engineered the entire incident to make Clover look like a gold digger from day one. But why? Clover asked. She didn't even know me. Catherine pulled up another document. Because 6 months ago, Dashiell, you mentioned to Vivian that you were thinking of ending the engagement, that the relationship felt hollow. Dashiell went very still. I'd been drinking. I thought she forgot about it. She didn't forget. She panicked. The merger with her family's firm was contingent on the marriage. If you ended things, her family would lose billions. Catherine smiled like a shark. So she created a scandal she could control. Hired Clover specifically because you'd react to someone genuine.
Planned to expose the affair right before the wedding to look like the victim while keeping you trapped. That's... Clover couldn't find words. That's psychotic. That's prosecutable, Catherine corrected. Conspiracy, extortion, invasion of privacy. We have her on tape making the payments, coordinating with the employee. She's done. The room erupted in victory. Lawyers high-fived. Someone popped champagne. But Dashiell was quiet. This destroys her, he said slowly. Completely. Her reputation, her family's business, possibly criminal charges. That's the point, Catherine said, confused. She's desperate and cornered. What does a desperate, cornered person with nothing left to lose do? The celebration died. Clover's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered on speaker. Enjoying your little victory? Vivienne's voice was cold. Catherine's very efficient. I'm impressed. How did you... Catherine started. I have eyes everywhere, darling. Did you think I wouldn't plan for this? A pause. Here's what happens now. In 2 hours, I release everything as promised. But I've added something special. A deepfake video of Clover admitting she targeted Dashiell for money. So realistic, even forensic analysis won't prove it's fake for weeks. By then, her reputation is destroyed. Vivienne, Dashiell started. I'm not finished. I also have a journalist ready to publish allegations about Blackwood Industries' offshore accounts. True or not doesn't matter. The investigation alone will tank your stock, destroy investor confidence, and ruin everything you've built. So it's mutually assured destruction, Clover said. We release your conspiracy, you release the deepfake and allegations. Everyone loses. Not everyone. See, I have family money. I'll survive. Will you? Vivienne's laugh was hollow. I gave you both a way out. You chose war. So let's have a war. The line went dead. Silence crashed over the room. She's bluffing, someone said weakly. She's not, Dashiell and Clover said simultaneously. Catherine looked between them. So what do we do? Clover stood up, an idea forming. Crazy, impossible, but maybe just insane enough to work. We give her what she wants. What? Dashiell stared at her. Think about it. She's backed into a corner, lashing out. But what does she really want? Not destruction. She wants to win, to feel in control. Your point? Clover turned to Catherine. Can you get me a phone number for Vivienne's father, Harold Ashford? Probably. Why? Because, Clover said, her mind racing. Vivienne isn't the enemy. Her father is. She pulled up her phone, showing them research she'd done days ago when this all started. Harold Ashford is a control freak, made his fortune through hostile takeovers and crushing competitors. He's been grooming Vivienne since birth to be the perfect corporate weapon. Marry rich, expand the empire, show no weakness. Dashiell leaned forward. You think she's acting on his orders? I think she's terrified of disappointing him. I think she's spent her whole life being told that failure isn't an option. And I think... Clover looked at the phone. I think she hates it as much as you hate being the robot billionaire. That's a hell of a gamble, Catherine said. You have a better idea with... Clover checked her watch. 90 minutes left. Dashiell studied her face, then slowly smiled. You're either a genius or completely insane. I told you, probably both. She held out her hand. Give me your phone. I'm calling Vivienne. To say what? To offer her a third option, one where nobody has to lose. He handed her the phone, trust implicit in the gesture. Clover dialed, heart hammering. Vivienne answered on the first ring. Come to beg? No, Clover said calmly. I came to offer you freedom. A pause. I'm listening. Meet me. Alone. 1 hour. I'll come to you, wherever you want. No lawyers, no Dashiell, no recordings. Just two women having an honest conversation. Why would I agree to that? Because I think you're tired, Vivienne. I think you're exhausted from being your father's puppet. And I think part of you is relieved this is all falling apart because it means you finally get to stop pretending. The silence stretched so long, Clover thought she'd hung up. Then, "The Meridian. Back entrance. 55 minutes. You're late. The deal's off." The call ended. Everyone stared at Clover like she'd grown a second head. "That," Dashiell said slowly, "was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever seen. I keep hearing that." She grabbed her jacket. "Wish me luck." He pulled her close, kissed her hard. "Come back to me." "Planning on it." As she headed for the elevator, Catherine called out, "Clover, what's the plan?" She turned, grinned. "I'm going to tell her the truth. Turns out, that's my superpower." The elevator doors closed. 60 minutes until everything exploded. And Clover was walking straight into the blast radius. The Meridian's back entrance smelled like garbage and regret. Clover found Vivian sitting on a loading dock, designer heels dangling, looking more human than she'd ever seen her. "You came alone," Vivian said, surprised. "I said I would." Clover sat beside her, uninvited. "Nice view." "It's a dumpster." I was being sarcastic. Despite everything, Vivian's lips twitched, almost a smile. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "Everyone keeps saying that. I'm starting to think it's both." Clover pulled out her phone, placed it between them. "No recording. See? Just us." "Why?" "You could be gathering evidence right now." "Because I don't want to destroy you, Vivian. I want to understand you." Vivian laughed bitterly. "There's nothing to understand. I'm the villain. You're the plucky heroine. Dashiell's the prize. It's all very predictable." "Is it?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you look exhausted." The words hit like a physical blow. Vivian's carefully constructed mask cracked. "You don't know anything about me. I know your father calls you every day at 7 a.m. to discuss business strategy. I know you graduated top of your class at Wharton, but it still wasn't good enough. I know." Clover softened her voice. "I know you're 32 years old, and you've never once disappointed him. Until now." Vivian's hands trembled. "Stop. He's the one who told you to trap Dashiell, wasn't he? The coffee incident, the fake videos, all of it. His plan. It was my idea. Was it? Really?" Clover turned to face her. "Because the woman who orchestrated all of this? She's brilliant. Terrifying, but brilliant. And I keep thinking, what would someone that smart do if she actually wanted something for herself?" Tears welled in Vivian's eyes. "You think you're so clever. Poor little waitress who sees through everyone. I think you're scared. I think you've spent your whole life being what your father needed you to be. And when Dashiell started pulling away, you panicked because failing meant, what? Losing his approval? His love? He doesn't love me," Vivian whispered. "He never has. I'm a tool, a merger opportunity, the daughter who makes things happen." "Then why keep doing it?" "Because it's all I know." The words burst out of her. "Because if I'm not Daddy's perfect warrior princess, then who am I? What am I worth?" Clover saw it clearly now. The cage Vivian had built around herself, golden bars of expectation and fear. You're worth whatever you decide you're worth. Not what he says. Not what society says. You. Easy for you to say. You have nothing to lose. I have everything to lose. My family's being threatened. My reputation is destroyed. The man I'm falling in love with might lose his empire because of me." Clover took a shaky breath. "But you know what? I'd rather lose it all being myself than win by being someone I'm not." Vivian wiped her eyes, smearing mascara. "He really loves you, doesn't he? Dashiell?" "I think so. Terrifies me." "Why?" "Because I'm not special. I'm just me. I burn toast. I laugh too loud. I have no idea how to be in his world." "That's exactly why he loves you. You don't want his world. You want him." Vivian looked at her hands. "I wanted the empire, the prestige, the proof that I mattered. And I lost the person in the process." They sat in silence, two women on opposite sides of a war neither of them wanted. "What happens now?" Vivian finally asked. "You go back, tell Dashiell I'm broken and sad, and he forgives everything." "No. You face consequences. Legal ones, probably, but—" Clover pulled out her phone. "What if you also got freedom?" "What are you talking about?" Clover showed her the screen. "Your father's been embezzling from the Ashford Foundation for years. Catherine found evidence. Tax fraud, misappropriation of funds, enough to put him away for a decade." Vivian's face went white. "How did you— Your father's not as careful as he thinks, and Catherine is very, very good at her job." Clover met her eyes. "We can release this, destroy him, free you from his control forever. He's my father. He's your abuser. There's a difference." Vivian stared at the evidence, hands shaking. "If I help you, if I testify against him, he'll never forgive me." "Good. His forgiveness isn't worth having." Clover gentled her voice. "Vivian, you're 32. You're brilliant. You could do anything. Be anyone. But first, you have to stop being his puppet. I've done terrible things. To you, to Dashiell. Yeah, you have, and you'll have to answer for them. But maybe, just maybe, you could also do something good, something real. Something that's actually yours." Vivian looked at the city lights, tears streaming freely now. "I don't know how to be anything else." "Then learn. That's what freedom is, the terrifying privilege of figuring yourself out." For a long moment, nothing. Then Vivian reached into her bag and pulled out a USB drive. "Everything, all the recordings, the deepfakes, the files I was going to release. It's all here." She handed it to Clover. "Take it. Destroy it. I'm done." Clover's hand closed around the drive. "What about your father?" "I'll testify. Not for you, not for Dashiell, for me." Vivian stood, brushed off her dress. "He's going to hate me." "Probably. I might lose everything." "Maybe. Or maybe you'll gain something better. Yourself." Vivian looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, there was no malice, just exhaustion and a flicker of hope. "I understand now. Why he chose you." "Yeah? You make people believe they can be better. That's a rare gift." She started walking toward the exit, then paused. "Clover, for what it's worth, I'm sorry, truly. I know." Vivian disappeared into the Manhattan night. Clover sat alone on the loading dock, holding the USB drive that contained every weapon Vivian had crafted, feeling the weight of what just happened. Her phone buzzed. "Dashiell, are you okay? Please tell me you're okay." She smiled, texted back. "Better than okay. Coming home." Home. When had his penthouse become home? But as she walked toward the street to catch a cab, she realized something profound. Home wasn't a place. It was the courage to be honest, the freedom to laugh at pompous billionaires, the choice to see humanity even in your enemies. Home was wherever you could be yourself. And for the first time in her life, Clover Bennett knew exactly who that was. She returned to the penthouse to find Dashiell pacing like a caged animal. The moment he saw her, he pulled her into his arms. "Don't ever do that again." "Can't promise that. I'm pretty good at dangerous honesty." He pulled back, saw the USB drive. "Is that everything? She surrendered. It's over." The room erupted. Catherine actually whooped. Lawyers popped more champagne, but Dashiell just stared at Clover like she'd hung the moon. "How did you do it?" "I told her the truth. Turns out nobody ever had." She grinned. "Guess I'm your crisis negotiator now." "Do I get dental?" He kissed her. Not gentle, not careful. A kiss that tasted like relief and promise and the beginning of everything. When they broke apart, Catherine was waving papers. "We need statements, press releases, damage control." "Tomorrow," Dashiell said, not taking his eyes off Clover. "Tonight, the world can wait." And for once, everyone agreed. The war was over. Now came the part they'd been fighting for, the chance to actually live. 6 months later. The grand opening of Clover's table was nothing like Clover had imagined when she used to daydream during slow shifts at Lucky's diner. For one thing, she'd never imagined a line around the block, or food critics from the Times, or her face on a magazine cover with the headline, "From viral sensation to culinary success, the Clover Bennett story." "You're fidgeting," Dashiell said, adjusting his tie in the mirror of what was now their shared penthouse. "I'm terrified." "There's a difference. You're going to be brilliant. You have to say that. You're my—" She paused, still getting used to the word. "Boyfriend. Insufferable billionaire boyfriend," he corrected. "Get it right." She threw a pillow at him. He caught it, grinning, and the easy intimacy of the moment still made her heart skip. 6 months. Half a year since the coffee incident that changed everything. The aftermath had been brutal. Weeks of depositions, interviews, public scrutiny. Vivian's testimony had indeed brought down Harold Ashford. He was currently awaiting trial for fraud, embezzlement, and a host of other charges. The Ashford empire had crumbled. But Vivian, she'd surprised everyone. After a month of silence, and what Clover suspected was serious therapy, Vivian had emerged with a plan. She'd started a non-profit for women escaping controlling family situations, using her own story as the foundation. It wasn't redemption exactly, but it was a start. She and Clover weren't friends, probably never would be, but they'd achieved something rarer, mutual respect born from radical honesty. Dashiell had survived too, though it cost him. The Carlyle merger died. 3 board members resigned. His net worth took a hit that would have devastated most people. But the man who emerged from the wreckage was different, lighter, more human. He'd stepped back from day-to-day operations, promoted younger executives who actually cared about innovation over profit margins, and started a foundation for small business owners, which had provided Clover's restaurant with its initial funding. "Are you going to tell me why you're really nervous?" he asked now, crossing to her. "Because it's not about the restaurant." Damn him for knowing her so well. "Marcus is coming," she admitted. "My parents. People from my old life meeting, people from my new life. What if it's weird?" "It'll definitely be weird." Not helping. "Clover." He tilted her chin up. "You're the woman who called me a jackass in front of 50 people and meant it. You negotiated peace with my psychotic ex-fiancé. You're opening a restaurant at 28 with critical acclaim. Weird family dynamics are nothing. When you put it that way. You're extraordinary. Remember that when you forget." She kissed him, soft and lingering. "How did I get so lucky?" "You threw coffee at the right billionaire. Premium grade jackass. Always." The restaurant was perfect. Exposed brick, warm lighting, a menu that featured elevated comfort food with a twist. The signature dish? The Blackwood, a premium coffee-rubbed steak served with a side of humility. The critics loved it. Dashiell had laughed until he cried. Clover stood at the entrance greeting guests when she saw them, her parents looking overwhelmed and proud in equal measure. "Baby girl," her mother crushed her in a hug. "Look at this place, look at you." "Hi, Mom, hi, Dad." Her father, a quiet man who'd never quite recovered from his illness but was managing, looked around with wonder. "You did good, Clover. Real good." Then Marcus arrived, pulling her into a bear hug. "You fancy now, Clove? Too good for us diner folk?" "Shut up. You're literally my head chef." "Details." He grinned. "Also, there's a woman here asking for you. Says she has a reservation under Ashford." Clover's stomach dropped. Vivian stood near the bar, looking elegant and uncertain in equal measure. When their eyes met, she raised a hand in an awkward wave. Dashiell appeared at Clover's elbow. "Want me to—" "No, I've got this." She crossed to Vivian, and for a moment they just looked at each other. 2 women who'd been to war and somehow found peace. "I wasn't sure you'd come," Clover said. "I wasn't sure you'd want me to. But—" Vivian took a breath. "I wanted to see what you built, without interference, without sabotage. Just what you created on your own. And it's wonderful. You're wonderful. Vivian's smile was genuine. I'm glad he found you. And I'm glad I found me. How's the nonprofit? Terrifying and fulfilling. Mostly terrifying. She paused. I'm not expecting friendship, or forgiveness really, but I wanted you to know you saved my life that night, even if it didn't feel like it. You saved your own life. I just pointed out the exit. Vivian nodded, started to leave, then turned back. Clover, for the record, he never looked at me the way he looks at you. Not once in 3 years. You're lucky. But more importantly, he is. She left before Clover could respond. Dashiell materialized with 2 glasses of champagne. Everything okay? Yeah, actually, yeah. She took a glass. Did you know she was coming? I may have sent an invitation. Is that okay? It's perfect. You're perfect. This whole weird, chaotic, impossible situation is perfect. Now who's being disgustingly romantic? I learned from the best. The restaurant filled with laughter, clinking glasses, the smell of good food and better company. Clover moved through the crowd. Her parents, Marcus, former co-workers from Lucky's, new friends from this strange new life. And always, always Dashiell was there. Not hovering, not controlling, just present. A steady presence in the chaos she'd accidentally created. At midnight, after the last guest left and the staff was cleaning up, Clover found him on the restaurant's small balcony overlooking the street. There you are. He turned, and the look on his face made her breath catch. Come here. She went to him, and he wrapped his arms around her from behind, both of them looking out at the city that had tried to destroy them and failed. I have something for you, he said quietly. If it's jewelry, I'm throwing it at you. Better. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed. To the building. The entire building. Dashiell, before you argue, hear me out. The restaurant is yours. You built it. You run it. You own it outright. But the building was a gift from me to you. Because you gave me something infinitely more valuable. What's that? A life worth living. He turned her to face him. 6 months ago, I was a robot in an expensive suit. You laughed at me and cracked me open. You showed me what courage looks like, what honesty costs, what love means. Dashiell, I'm not proposing, he said quickly. It's too soon. We're still figuring this out. But I need you to know, this isn't temporary for me. You're not a phase or a rebellion. You're the person I want to build a life with. Tears streamed down her face. You're going to make me ruin my makeup. You're beautiful when you cry. Liar. Honest. Always honest with you. She kissed him, tasting salt and champagne and the promise of everything they'd fought for. I love you, she whispered against his lips. My premium grade, formerly Jackass, surprisingly romantic billionaire. I love you too. My brave, honest, absolutely extraordinary waitress who changed my world. Not a waitress anymore. No, now you're a restaurateur, and the woman I'm going to spend my life making laugh. That's the best job description I've ever heard. They stood on that balcony as the city twinkled below, 2 people who'd collided by accident and stayed by choice, building something real from the wreckage of what they'd left behind. The viral video was still out there. People still recognized her sometimes, but now when they did, they smiled. They asked for selfies. They told her she inspired them. Clover Bennett had thrown coffee at a billionaire and accidentally found her voice, and Dashiell Blackwood had been knocked off his pedestal and discovered his heart. Sometimes the best love stories start with chaos and end with coffee shops, courage, and the willingness to be exactly who you are. 2 years later, the video resurfaced every few months like clockwork. Someone would rediscover it, share it with the caption, "Remember this?" And suddenly Clover would be trending again. She'd stopped caring somewhere around month 3. now sitting in the garden of the country house she and Dashiell had bought upstate, a compromise between his need for occasional escape and her need for a place to grow actual vegetables. She scrolled through her phone with amused detachment. "They're calling it the coffee heard round the world now," she called to Dashiell, who was attempting to assemble a greenhouse with Marcus's help. "That's dramatic," Dashiell said, cursing as a panel fell over. "Dude, I told you that piece goes on the left," Marcus said, laughing. "I'm a billionaire. I don't do assembly instructions." "Former billionaire," Clover corrected cheerfully. "You're only a multi-millionaire now." "Poverty, really," she grinned. Dashiell had liquidated most of his holdings 2 years ago, restructuring Blackwood Industries into a B Corp focused on ethical AI and sustainable tech. He was worth considerably less on paper, but slept considerably better at night. Clover's table had expanded, not into a chain, she'd refused that, but into a culinary school for underprivileged youth. Twice a week, she taught kids from backgrounds like hers how to make restaurant-quality food from affordable ingredients. Marcus ran the restaurant now. Turned out he was a brilliant manager when given the chance. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unexpected source. "Saw the video trending again. Still think you called him a jackass with remarkable accuracy. V." Clover smiled. She and Vivian texted occasionally now. Never anything deep. Just observations about life, recommendations for therapists, they both needed them, and the occasional dark joke about their shared past. Vivian's non-profit, Gilded Cage, had gone national. She'd been featured on 60 Minutes, written a book about escaping toxic families, and from what Clover heard, was dating a perfectly normal accountant named Gary. Harold Ashford was serving 8 years in a minimum security prison. Vivian visited him monthly, though she'd told Clover the conversations were still difficult. Healing, but difficult. Incoming. Clover looked up to see a car pulling into the driveway. A familiar sedan that made her heart lift. Her parents emerged, followed by, "You didn't tell me they were bringing someone," she hissed at Dashiell. He grinned. Surprise? Her parents' guest was a woman about Clover's age, professional-looking, holding a notebook. "Mr. Blackwood, Ms. Bennett," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Sarah Chen from The New Yorker. I'm doing a piece on modern love stories that started unconventionally. Would you be willing to talk?" Clover and Dashiell exchanged glances. "Define unconventionally," Clover said. "Well, you called him a jackass and it went viral. That's pretty unconventional." "Premium-grade jackass," Dashiell corrected. "Let's be accurate." Everyone laughed. They spent the afternoon on the porch, Clover, Dashiell, her parents, Marcus, and Sarah the journalist, who turned out to be delightful and only mildly intrusive with her questions. "So what's the secret?" Sarah asked finally. "How did you two make it work when everything was against you?" Clover thought about it. Really thought about it. "Honesty," she said finally. "Even when it's terrifying. Even when it's easier to pretend or hide. We promised each other we'd always be honest. And humor," Dashiell added. "She still makes fun of me constantly. Because you're still occasionally a jackass. Premium grade. The finest." Sarah laughed. "You two are disgusting. In the best way." As the sun set and Sarah left with her story, Clover's parents retired to the guest house, and Marcus headed back to the city. Clover and Dashiell found themselves alone on the porch swing. "Can you believe it's been 2 years?" she asked. "Feels like 2 minutes and 2 decades, simultaneously." "That's very poetic for a tech bro." "Former tech bro. I'm a gentleman farmer now." "You killed 3 tomato plants last week." "I'm a learning gentleman farmer." She snuggled closer. "Do you ever regret it? Walking away from all of it?" "Not for a second." He kissed her temple. "Do you?" "Regret calling you a jackass? Never. Best decision I ever made." "Second best." "Oh?" He pulled back slightly, and there was something in his expression that made her heart stutter. "Dashiell Blackwood, if you're doing what I think you're doing." "I said I wasn't proposing 2 years ago because it was too soon." He slid off the swing onto one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. Is it still too soon? Clover's hands flew to her mouth. The ring was perfect, simple, elegant, with a small, ethically sourced diamond that caught the last rays of sunlight. Nothing ostentatious, just right. Clover Bennett, you threw coffee at me and changed my life. You laughed when you should have been intimidated. You saw me, really saw me, when I was just a robot in an expensive suit. You're brave and honest, and you make the world better just by existing in it. His voice cracked slightly. Will you marry me? You're really bad at staying off your knees for a billionaire, she managed through tears. Former billionaire. And is that a yes? You're still occasionally a premium-grade jackass, but yes, absolutely yes. He slid the ring on her finger, stood, and kissed her as the last light faded from the sky. Somewhere in Manhattan, their story was still being shared, dissected, turned into memes and think pieces. The video had been viewed over 100 million times at this point. But here, in this moment, none of that mattered. They were just two people who'd collided by accident, fought like hell to stay together, and somehow built a life neither of them had imagined. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. My brave, chaotic, absolutely perfect fiancé. Say that again. Fiancé? Yeah. I like how it sounds. He laughed, that full-bodied laugh she'd first heard over coffee and threats and the beginning of everything. And as they swayed on the porch swing under the stars, Clover realized something profound. Fairy tales didn't always start with once upon a time. Sometimes they started with spilled coffee, a loud laugh, and the courage to be exactly who you are. Sometimes the best love stories were the ones nobody saw coming. And sometimes, just sometimes, calling a billionaire a jackass was the beginning of happily ever after. The end.